So right now I'm in a place called Parque de la Madre in Cuenca, Ecuador. And I wanted to talk to you about making friends in conservative countries. So if you're from a Western country, or if you're from a westernized country, or really any time you're going to a new country, you pretty much have to relearn your social skills from scratch. I mean, sometimes this is because the way people talk, the conversations people have, the kinds of things that people discuss, it's very different in different parts of the world. So if you're the kind of person who meets a lot of different people in your home country, you might go to a foreign country and just feel like the most awkward person ever. So in this video, I'm just going to give you some different techniques that will help you have conversations with people in conservative cultures, and they should also help in almost every culture. The thing to keep in mind is that there are many different kinds of conservative cultures. So what you might experience in, say, a small town in Indonesia, where people are very serious about their Muslim religion, is going to be a lot different than what you might experience in Aksum in northern Ethiopia, where people are practicing a kind of ancient Orthodox Christianity. Or that's going to be very different from the Hammer people in southern Ethiopia, who believe that if you wear clothes, you must be ugly because you're covering up some kind of wound or some kind of nasty scar on your body. And you know, for them, it's considered there's something wrong with you if you wear clothes. So of course there's different kinds of conservative values, just to be clear, and also there's much different degrees of conservatism. Like what you'll experience in northern India, in a small town in northern India, is completely distinct. That's a very high degree of conservatism. Versus, say, when you go maybe to a smaller town in the Philippines, right? That's going to be more conservative than a Western country, but it's nothing compared to India or maybe Ethiopia or something like that. So there's different degrees. And then there's probably also going to be certain cultures that you're going to adapt to more readily, right? But at the same time, there are certain cross-cultural conversation topics that will work fairly well almost everywhere. The one thing I want to mention is that if you're from the West, normally when we talk to people in our same age group, no matter your age, but usually when people are in the same age group, they like to talk about very risque subjects. For whatever reason, we like to have our conversations R-rated. We just enjoy that. Usually when you meet someone new, in most places in the world, but particularly in conservative countries, and particularly when there's no alcohol involved, the conversation topics, you know, they might be considered dull by Western standards. As time goes on, as you start to feel out the person, as you feel out the culture, you can expand the sort of conversation that you have. But in the beginning, people go surprisingly G-rated. The first thing to keep in mind is that in conservative cultures, family is one of the first things that comes up in conversation. So people will ask you, and you should ask them in return, how many brothers and sisters they have. And then you want to ask them, are they the oldest or the youngest? Or are they in the middle? A lot of people will have 5 brothers and sisters, or 6 or 7. A lot of people that you'll meet will be in really big families. Right? For us, 3 is a big family. In a lot of places in the world, 8 is a big family, right? Of course, it's more fun to guess. It's more fun to say, oh, I'm going to guess that you're the fifth, the fifth brother of 7 or something. Just make a number up, and that's more fun. Even if you just completely make that number up. That's more fun than always asking questions, because then it's more like an interview. But okay, so how many brothers and sisters? You can ask about their parents, if their parents live in the same city, if their parents live in a different city. Ask them if they were born in the city that you're in. A lot of people that you'll meet will be born in a different city. Another thing that comes up a lot, very high chance, especially if you're in a smaller town, they're going to ask you about your religion. And this can actually be kind of awkward, because if you're not religious, or you're not part of one of the main religions like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, Hindu, if you're not part of one of the main religions, they're going to respond. They're going to respond in 3 main ways. Well, at least in my experience, 3 main ways. As someone who's not religious, when I first started traveling, I would readily admit to the fact that I'm not religious. I didn't know how weird that was to people, right? I wasn't trying to be difficult. I just didn't know how weird that was. And some people, they would sort of see me as Satan or as an agent of Satan, right? Some people would see me as rebellious. Like I'm this guy who's, I'm part of this, I'm obviously Christian because I'm white, right? I'm Christian, right? Even though a huge percentage of people from my hometown aren't Christian. They'd say that I'm somehow being rebellious, and I try to explain, well, I wasn't brought up with religion. The other response is just total confusion. Like, you're not religious? So you're Muslim? I'm like, no, I'm not Muslim. So you're Buddhist? Right? They just go on. They're like, okay, so you're not Protestant, but you're Catholic. I'm like, no, I'm not religious. So they would just go on and on and on. Some people just didn't get it. So since then, I basically, if someone asks me that question, I evaluate a little bit where they're from, who they are, which country I'm in, what I know about the culture. And sometimes I just say that I'm Protestant or just say that I'm Christian because it's just easier. Of course, I prefer to tell the truth, but sometimes people just won't understand me when I'm speaking the truth. Another good conversation topic to have is, okay, this won't apply to every country, but a lot of countries you go to, for example, Indonesia, Guatemala, the Philippines, a lot of people actually speak their tribal language, or some places don't use the word tribe, so be careful. They use tribe in Africa, but people don't like to. Tribe sometimes has like this man living in the jungle connotation, but it doesn't actually mean that. But people sometimes think of it that way. They're like, man, the tribe is like someone with, some crazy skirt or something and dancing in the jungle. That what it's good to ask people what their first language is, because there's a pretty high probability if you're in Kenya, if you're in a lot of different countries, their first language will be some different language, and then you can sort of ask them a bit about their cultural background, about their ethnicity, and then try to remember that information, because you might meet someone again who's part of that same ethnic group, and then you'll really be able to relate and connect to them, because not only do you know things about their specific country, you also know about their ethnicity. Okay, the last subject I'm going to discuss in this video is what I would consider to be the elephant in the room whenever you're befriending locals while you're traveling. And this topic is the issue of money. So some people that I've met, some travelers, say that anytime you meet a local anywhere, they're just interested in your money, which is completely not true. That's absolutely not true. If someone approaches you on the street in a touristic area, okay, I'm going to say the vast majority of the time, they're trying to sell you something. There's some kind of monetary motivation going on. But if you started the conversation yourself and you met them outside of a touristic area, and even if they're poor, but if they look like they have money, this person is not out to hustle you for your money. You started the conversation yourself. Most of the time, maybe they're opportunistic and they're thinking that way, but I mean, people use each other all the time in different cultures. It's no different when you're a traveler in a foreign country. So if you want to avoid the money issue, start the conversation yourself. The other question is, if you guys go out to eat anything, you go out to drink, who pays? Well, first off, understand the culture. My rule of thumb, and this varies a little bit depending on the country and depending on who I'm with. Usually, if I feel like if I guess that I make more than 20 times per hour the amount of the person that I'm with, I'll pay. I'll pay for everything. Otherwise, if I make 5 times as much as them, I guess I make 5. I'm not going to ask them how much they make, but my guess is that I make 5 times as much, 2 times as much. They make more than me. They make 100 times as much as me. We pay half. That's the deal. That's my rule. If it feels like someone's trying to take advantage of you, exit the situation. You can pay if you're at a restaurant and you're starting to feel this person's going to try and take advantage of me somehow. Just pay and leave. Listen to your gut. Trust your gut over anything else. That's the most powerful tool that a traveler has. So if you found this video helpful at all, I wrote a much longer, more thorough guide on meeting locals while you're traveling, particularly in conservative cultures. I've put the link in the description below. And also, I'll be putting out a video at least once a week. For now, there's going to be more. But once I get a couple videos on the channel, I'm going to slow down to once a week. If you want to keep watching them, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Otherwise, the subscription barely does anything because you might not even see that I posted a video if you don't hit the notification bell. Okay, thank you for watching. Peace.